Hello and welcome. I'm Devin C. Larson, your Wayward tutorial host. It's been a minute since the last video. Longer than I'd intended, but I've been working on an audiobook gig on top of my day job and everything else, and it hasn't really left me a lot of time to record a new tutorial. The experience did, however, give me a lot of time to consider audiobook-specific problems and solutions that should prove useful to those of you who wish to narrate audiobooks yourself at some point in the future. First, though, some real talk. Audiobooks are so much fun, but also a ton of work. They require a lot of time and effort relative to other forms of voiceover, and the pay isn't spectacular. On the plus side, you get to bring stories to life, and you get to experiment with different character voices. Basically, I would only recommend them to you if you enjoy the act of creating them and aren't necessarily holding out for a payout at the end. I say this not to discourage you, but to prepare you for the investment that they require. Audiobooks take time. Landing audiobook work takes time. But it can be done. And to that end, I wanted to record a video that addresses the start of this process, how to land an audiobook gig of your very own. There are a number of things that you can do to get audiobook work. I recommend that you research audiobook publishers to familiarize yourself with the companies that regularly produce them. Down the line, you should consider contacting them either directly or through an agent, but for right now, if you're just starting out, that's probably not your best move. Why? You don't have a lot of experience yet. You'd be competing against veteran narrators with tons of credits under their belts, and you're just starting out, so what you actually need is practice. Luckily, there are a lot of places that you can go for that. You may already be familiar with a few of them. If you're already subscribed to a P2P site like voices.com or voice123, chances are you've come across audiobook auditions amongst the other auditions for commercial and corporate work. Audiobook auditions on those sites are rare in my experience, but when they do come along, they're good practice. On the other hand, P2P sites aren't very reliable for actually landing audiobook work due to their business model and the fact that you have to subscribe to a high tier to even get the auditions early enough. Then there's the big one, ACX. ACX is backed by Audible and is free. You can create an account and start searching for projects that meet your specifications for content and pay rate and begin auditioning for those projects immediately. Some considerations when it comes to rates. You can opt to select from a range of per finished hour pricing, royalty share where you aren't guaranteed to be paid but are promised a percentage of the profits, and royalty share hybrid where you get paid a lower per finished hour rate but that's supplemented by a royalty share percentage. For per finished hour rates, what you can and should ask for depends on your experience level. There are plenty of great resource guides online when it comes to rates, which I may get into in the future. Royalty share isn't ideal because you aren't guaranteed to be paid if the book doesn't sell. And for this reason, many people will caution you against it. However, it's important right now to gain experience and accrue credits, in my opinion. So my advice is, don't discount a royalty share situation if it seems like a good opportunity. At least, at first. With ACX, authors or rights holders will post an audition sample which you can then record and submit. ACX will contact you whether you're chosen or not, so prepare for a lot of rejection emails. If you're chosen, the next step is you'll be expected to, after a few days, submit a 15-minute kind of proof of concept recording. And if that's accepted, it's on to the finished audiobook. So that's ACX, but where else can you go? How about LibriVox? If you want to hone your narrator skills, what better place than a site where you can volunteer to read public domain books? LibriVox has a forum where volunteers go to coordinate and select from available projects to read, no previous audiobook experience required. As I said, all projects on LibriVox are coordinated through their forum, so first you need to create an account. Note that LibriVox deals exclusively with public domain works and is non-profit, so they don't tolerate any spam or promotion of outside material. Make sure you read those forum guidelines first. One nice thing about LibriVox is they have both single narrator projects where one person narrates the entire audiobook, as well as collaborations where they have different narrators for each chapter. If you're just starting out, narrating one chapter versus an entire book is way more manageable, so I recommend you start with that. For additional resources, I wanted to mention one other site, the Narrator's Roadmap. It offers both free and paid content. It has articles on all facets of audiobook production, training videos and video courses, and a directory for production companies and publishers that produce audiobooks. The articles are free, stuff like the directory is for subscribers. It's super helpful information from veteran narrators, so I highly recommend you check it out. Those are some of the places that I recommend you go to find audiobook projects. You're mainly going to find smaller indie publishers or public domain works rather than large publishers on those sites. I recommend you start with these types of projects. Build your experience and accumulate credits before producing your professional narration or audiobook demo. Over time, you're going to build connections, which will allow you to leverage your experience and approach those larger production companies, demo in hand, and get cast in more prominent mainstream books. Thanks for watching my video. I'll do my best to make sure that the next one arrives without too long of a wait this time. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting. It's all helpful. Until next time.